We have two wonderful people with us this morning. Lisa Daniels is the founder and CEO of Windustry, a nonprofit that gives technical information and assistance to farmers and tribal communities, rural utilities, and is promoting community-based distributed renewable energy. She's led Windustry successfully in competitive contracts with the U.S. Department of Energy and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and is the co-founder and former charter board member of Women of Renewable Industries and Sustainable Energy. And Robert Blake is the owner of Solar Bear, a solar installation company, and also the executive director of Native Son Community Power Development. That's also a nonprofit. And he is also a graduate student at the moment at the Carlson Executive Master of Business Administration program. Robert is a tribal citizen of the Red Lake Nation and an appointed member of the St. Paul Climate Justice Advisory Board and the Minnesota Governor's Workforce Development Board. We're very privileged to have both of them with us. And Lisa, I will turn it over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Today, we'll both Bob and I, or Robert Blake and I, will introduce ourselves in terms of our background a little bit more and the work that we're doing with Native Son, which is a Native-led nonprofit, a brand new Native-led nonprofit. Also, we'll talk a little bit about the programs that Native Son is doing, but also we'll talk about how this intersects with the American Jobs Plan and the American Family Plan, and how it all fits into the work that we're doing. And we're very happy to be here today. And thank you to Jackie and the Plymouth Forum group that has invited us to be here. So just to give a little more detail about what Windustry has done, way back about 30 years ago or so, and I know I'm aging myself here, but I started a very small but nationally recognized nonprofit called Windustry. And we sort of grew, Windustry grew and I grew as the wind industry emerged in this country. And I partnered with farmers and rural landowners in rural communities. And I will say that I worked a little bit with tribal communities, but not very much. I worked quite a bit with local and state and federal agencies to promote community scale renewable energy projects. I was working on bringing, I was dedicated to working on bringing about a clean energy transition. And I was coming at this from an environmental standpoint. It didn't really make sense to me that we, as a society in general, were ignoring the wind and solar energy while we were digging up fossil fuels and all of the damage that did to our planet, and also in all the emissions that it released into the air. So I got into this whole business just to figure out, why are we doing things like this? And it's been a very long and interesting journey to say the least. Anyway, my work focused on keeping the economics of renewable energy as local as possible, and the development. We wanted to have the economic benefits be as local as possible. And I was also doing a lot of education of farmers and rural landowners and rural communities so that they could know what to expect when they were leasing their land to host a wind turbine, or if they wanted to put together a project themselves. Much of what I did touched on social justice issues just as much as it touched on the technical side of renewable energy. So, for example, after years and years of meetings and seminars and conferences, wherever there was a wind meeting, I would be going there with a team of folks that I was working with. And I would see that there was a very small fraction of the people in those rooms were women. And at the annual wind power conferences, there were thousands and thousands of men at these conferences, but only maybe a couple hundred women. And so we were just, it was like a big boys club doing work like this. So yes, it was like being at the YMCA for every meeting. So a couple of colleagues and I founded Women of Wind Energy, which is now WRISE. And WRISE stands for Women of Renewable Industries and Sustainable Energy. And that's a tongue twister. That's why they go by WRISE most of the time. And WRISE now has 36 chapters in 36 different states across the US. And this was a big deal, to have a place where women can support each other and promote each other and network within the renewable energy sphere. Today, rather than merely focusing on a clean energy transition, I am working on an equitable clean energy transition. And it always made more sense to me to know that we have to make sure that we bring everybody along in this clean energy workspace, and get everybody who wants to be working in the renewable sphere to have access. So I have partnered with Robert Blake, member of the Red Lake Tribe, and we have worked to launch and establish Native Son Community Power Development. I had seen Bob at a few clean energy policy organizing meetings and got to know him a little bit better as we went to as we both took a solar energy course in probably 2017 or 2018. I don't even know when it was. And Bob, with his positive and friendly personality, was just always somebody who was a bright spot in a room full of environmental introverts. So we sort of just started working together and agreed that there was more to be done. So right now I'm the program director, and we're working to my work is focused on growing Native Sons workforce development programs. And one thing that we are clear on, what we need to do, we need a transformational shift to advance climate solutions and jobs and equity. There's a great deal of work to do to advance equity and inclusion, both within the clean energy jobs, but also to ensure that people in Native communities can turn on their lights, heat and cool their homes with clean, renewable energy, electricity, and that they don't have to decide whether to heat their house or whether they can afford to heat their house or whether they eat. This is all part of an equitable, clean energy economy that we're heading towards, that we're working towards. And this, I think what I'm going to do at this point is share my screen, and I have a few slides. And Bob, as you're introducing yourself and things that we've been working on, you could walk us through these slides. They're just purely photographs, and you can describe what some of these photographs are. And I will share my screen. And it worked just a bit ago. Preview, hold on one second. I had PowerPoint, yes.
Robert, you're muted.
Cancel.
Sure. Well, Anin Boujou, everyone. Hello. My name is Robert Blake, and I am the executive director of Native Sun and owner of Solar Bear. I just introduced myself in my own language, which is the Ojibwe Anishinaabe language, and I am from the Red Lake Nation, which is 27 miles just north of Bemidji, Minnesota. Just to give you a geographical point of where my people are located at, yeah, so this has been quite the journey. It's been quite the experience, and it's been very exciting to be a part of the renewable green revolution, especially taking place here in Minnesota. And you know, it was a book, actually, everyone, that I wrote, that I read by Van Jones. This is back in 2008, maybe 2009, I want to say, that I read a book about all the opportunities in renewable energy around jobs and this transformation of our electric grid, and how our electric grid is such an important part of our lives. And it just never dawned on me that our electric grid was emitting this much CO2 into the air, which was causing climate change and global warming. And, you know, I just never thought about coal and how dirty and the environmental impact that it was having on communities. And so, you know, reading Van's book, I just thought to myself, if Van thinks that this can work in inner cities across the country, why couldn't it work on tribal nations? We have 573 tribal nations across the country. Why couldn't we, and we have plenty of space to put solar in. We have plenty of place to put wind in. We have plenty of place to put hydro. We've got hydro. I mean, there's like all this opportunity that the tribal nations have. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be something if we could like do this in tribal communities? And I thought to myself, well, someone should do this. Someone really should like be on this. And and so you know, kind of like going through the years since then, I heard of a few people doing solar and renewable energy. Henry Red Cloud out of Pine Ridge being the most notable one that I heard of Native Americans that were doing renewable energy. But then I didn't hear of too many other people. And then I thought to myself, well, you know, there's more and more. We're having more and more historic 5,000 year one or 1,000 year events that are happening every other month across the country, across the world. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, climate change is getting, you know, it's getting worse and worse and worse. And you know, is like tribal communities preparing for this. And so another year goes by, and finally I thought to myself, well, if no one else is going to do something about it, then maybe I should do something about it. And in this process, I became a surrogate father to my brother's children. and my brother passed away. He was a Minneapolis cop, and he passed away and left me the responsibility of being the surrogate father to his children. And at this time, I'm thinking to myself, you know, here I am being this role model to these 4 kids now that my brother passed on, and there's climate change. And I thought to myself, well, this protective feeling came over me, and I thought to myself, well, I'm just going to fix climate change for these guys. Like, I'm going to do them a solid. I'm going to fix climate change, and they're going to thank me for it because, that's what we do when we have kids, because I've never been a parent before. I thought to myself, well, I'm just going to take care of this for them. I didn't understand or realize how complex this issue was. And so started my journey down this road. I realized that policy was very, very important. We need the right politicians that are going to be climate champions. I ran for city council. I ran for St. Paul City Council. And because I believed that environmental and climate justice was so important, that I ran for city council. Now, I didn't win. But the point being is that I put myself out there. And when you put yourself out there in front of the public to dig into your past and to dig into everything, because that's what they do. They do a background check on you, and it's kind of uncomfortable because they get to see everything that's in your past, and they do this background check on you. And so but anyways, though, but I believed in what I was doing, that I was going to save the planet for my nephews and nieces. And then along this process, came this opportunity because I've been talking a lot about this with my tribe since 2010. And came this process of working with like-minded people that wanted to also create a solar project on the Red Lake Indian Reservation. And so got together with some other people, and we started putting together the project on the Red Lake Indian Reservation. And then in that process, I was working for a group called Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light, and we formed the Just Solar Coalition. And we said to ourselves, there is no minority businesses in the state of Minnesota that are installing solar. And I said, hey, I've got a business plan that I put together back in 2009, 2010, when I was at the Minneapolis Community Technical College. And we could use that to form a business. So there we are. We're 2015, 2016. We were putting together Solar Bear, and working on the Red Lake Solar Project. 2017, I believe I met Lisa at the Solar Training Academy with the Midwest Renewable Energy Association. All of this that I'm telling you is all moving forward simultaneously. I had my hands in a lot of different pieces. At the same time, I thought to I had this opportunity. I saw what we call it was a blurb on there were inmates that were coming out of prison in California that were going into this program called Homeboy Industries, and they were learning about solar technician jobs. And I thought to myself, wouldn't that be so cool if we could train the inmates in prison, and as they came out, they had the certificate to become solar technicians. So as I was working at this organization in Minneapolis there, I put together a training program at the Willow River Correctional Facility. So we were training inmates on how to do solar installations. And the idea there was to fight climate change with mass incarceration, fight mass incarceration with climate change. That then was successful, in turn got the attention of the governor, Governor Waltz, and he thought, hey, this is pretty smart, Bob. Can we put you on the governor's workforce development board, because we're going to be doing a lot of clean renewable energy in the future here over this next decade in the state of Minnesota. And so I jumped on that board. So now we're planning around workforce development and putting together a group to work on that very issue right now with the governor's workforce development board. So so just to all this just really just happened, um, you know, and it was really exciting because through all this process, of doing the solar project up at Red Lake, doing the workforce development training, and then now this opportunity with education, I just it all just happened because I thought to myself, hey, I want to help my nephews and nieces, in their future. And so I always tell people, if you got a passion, if you're excited about something, go for it. Because you never know where it's going to lead you, and that's exactly where it's led me to this to here to this day with Native Sun now, and Solar Bear now growing, and getting more jobs, and now us working specifically in these tribal communities now, where when I look at what's happening in Red Lake, there's a median income of $8,000 to $10,000 a year. These people, that's what they make a year up there, and we have a very high poverty rate up there. We have a very high suicidal rate, alcohol, drug addiction, very. So I always tell people, if you look at that scale of the barometer of what plagues these our society ills, unfortunately on tribal reservations we top out at the top of those lists on each and every one of them. And I thought to myself, you know, could renewable energy help solve a human health crisis? Because that's what I believe is happening in tribal nations right now. I believe we have a human health crisis, everyone, that is going on in this community. And if I could gauge it, if I could use quantitative and qualitative skills, right? Regression statistics, right? To dig down to the very deep of this, and figure out exactly, does renewable energy can this make a difference in these communities? Couldn't we do this? And if it was successful, couldn't we do this in every community? You know what I mean? Like, couldn't we do this not only in Red Lake, but could we do this in Brainerd, Minnesota? Could we do this in Fifth Ward, Houston? Could we do this in Compton, California? Where we have seen years and years and years of environmental injustice take place in these communities. And so the idea came to me: healing is in the environment, and that to me really spoke to like exactly how all this all transpired in all these different avenues that got put in front of me, and why I'm now walking down them, right? And so this has been really exciting. I was on top of the Red Lake Government Center building after we got done installing the project, and one of the community members came up to me and said, "Hey, Bob, why this feels so good to finish and complete this job? Because this is not only good for the community, but it's also good for the environment. It's good for Mother Earth," he told me. And I thought to myself, I had 10 Native guys show up at the job site at 8 a.m. People, you don't understand. For me to get 10 Native American guys to show up at a job site at 8 a.m., I just didn't know if that was possible. Well, they were there. And when I was looking around, I thought to myself, I'm onto something. Like, I'm onto something bigger than what I'm trying to do. And I just stumbled upon this, right? Like, there was no rhyme or reason how I thought that this was going to work, or how I thought this was going to make a difference, or how I thought it was going to like touch these guys' lives, right? And so I realized then and there that we had to do more of this. We had to get more and more of these guys trained up. Incidentally, I'm very happy to report that each and every one of those guys that worked on that project, that first project we did in Red Lake, end up getting jobs with the tribe, end up getting jobs even off the reservation, because of the success that we had and the media attention that we got off of that job. And so that was really cool. I'm very proud of that. We have since now moved on to another project over at the Oshkosh Tata building, where I've worked with 8 new tribal members, and I have since heard that 3 of them have gotten three that they have told me 3 of them have went on and have gotten now full-time employment. But sometimes you just need that little spark. Sometimes you just need that little motivation. Sometimes you just need that little somebody believing in you. Um, Obviously, you could tell that I'm kind of a coach, or I speak like a coach. I played sports my entire life, so I've been coached my entire life by coaches talking to me and telling me that I can, or push it through, Blake. Dig in, suck it up. Um, I guess in a way that sometimes when I speak to my crew members, I talk to them in a way that kind of motivates them, kind of explains to them that, hey, listen, push through this. We can get this done. Remember to work as a team. There's no I in team. So I mean, it's really that I think has really helped and propel these projects forward. And not only that though, but this idea and this concept that that renewable energy can heal a community, right? And in no way am I trying to take away 400 years of of colonialism, capitalism. There's no way that I'm going to take away all that, everyone. I want everyone to know Bob Lake isn't going to solve everything through this. But what I seen firsthand, what I seen the difference that it made in these guys' lives, I knew for a fact that there was something that I was hitting on. Since then, everyone, I've been happy. I want to tell you this, that in Red Lake now they're creating a school, because we know that education is the key to everything. But they have there's an immersion program that they're working on up there, and they want to incorporate renewable energy into their lesson planning. And of course, here at Native Son, we have the Solar Cup program that we've been working on. And that's something I think is really important, because we found that graduation rates amongst our youth, our Native youth, that where we incorporate culture and language, they graduate at a much higher level. And so there was another thing that we stumbled upon, um, and I've had the instructors and the teachers reach out to me, and since we've been working with them, we brought in a group called We Share Solar out of California, who does curriculum training around renewable energy. We had the teachers go through training this spring here, with the Solar Suitcase program, where it's basically a lesson plan in a suitcase. The teachers have got these solar suitcases now, and they're going to be able to do some training, and teach the kids solar energy. They're in Red Lake. And what was really funny was, and I got to go back to when we were installing the project in Red Lake, at the building. All these little kids showed up, and they were on their bikes, and they were outside the government center, and they were looking up on the roof at us, and they were yelling up at us, "Where's Solar Bear at? We want to see Solar Bear." And I was like, "Guys, Solar Bear is not here." And they were like, "We want to meet Solar Bear." And so they go around the back. They go around the back, and they're like by the solar panels and everything that we have back there. And they're like, looking at everything. And so I come down off the roof and tell the kids, "Hey kids, you gotta go, Solar Bear's not here right now." And so the kids take off. But one of the guys came up to me, and I thought was really interesting, because he said to me, he says, "Bob," he says, you know, he says, "We know we as adults know what this is about." He says, "But I think it's really important that we bring the kids along for the journey too. And they need to know what this is about." That stuck with me. That really did, because we're leaving these children with a planet, that is going to be very disruptive in their lives, and it's going to affect them in ways that we didn't affect us in, basically. And I thought to myself that I think it's very important that we give these kids the tools that they need, that you know that they're going to be able to handle it, and that's really what the Solar Cup program is about, and that's really what we're trying to do in Red Lake with this curriculum development that we're doing, is that give these children and the kids the tools that they're going to be able to face climate change head on, so they don't put their heads in the sand, they don't start drinking, they don't start doing drugs. They say, hey, listen, you know what? I realize what's happening. The solar bears have taught me and given me the lessons that I need to deal with climate change, and I'm going to deal with this head on. Incidentally, just let me give you just a quick synopsis, everyone, about what the Solar Cup program is. It's the solar bear family, and it's a mother, it's a father, it's a daughter and a son. And what they do is they come down from the North Pole. Oh, by the way, they're wearing sunglasses. Anyways, I just want to let everybody know that they're wearing sunglasses. They come down from the North Pole. They enter a village such as Red Lake. The clan animals, everyone, we have clan animals. So Migizi, Makwa, Migizi's the eagle, Makwa is the bear. All these animals are in the village together, and they basically tell the animals, hey, listen, our home is melting. Could we get you guys to help us save the planet? And they said, yeah, we can, but we need to get the humans involved too. So enters a young Native American girl who comes and gets involved, and in that process, the young Native American girl speaks her traditional language, which is Ojibwe, and the bears teach about STEM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and the math, and so they're able to go ahead and basically converse and interact with one another and help each other. But at the same time, no, these lessons are being taught to the kids, and the kids are also learning the Ojibwe and the other language. So and the cultural teaching. So oh, and by the way, I've been asked this before because I talked about this at another event. But can the bears speak Dakota? Can the bears speak Ho-Chunk? Can the bears speak Spanish? Can the bears speak Hmong? The bears can speak whatever you need them to speak. They just have to be translated. So that's going to be the exciting thing. So I think this is really exciting for this is one of the initiatives at Native Son that we're putting together right now. And I'm really excited about it. So, and then on the workforce development side, you heard me talk before. I'm on the Ramsey County Workforce Innovation Board. I was appointed to that board by Mayor Carter. By the way, I ran on that issue when I ran for city council. I ran on workforce and trying to get people picking up going to a job instead of doing all the other things that obviously we've been hearing about in the news. And so I was appointed to the Workforce County Innovation Board by Mayor Carter. I was appointed by Governor Walz to the Governor's Workforce Development Board, and so a lot of that has intertwined with each other, and I'm happy to report on that end. We'll have our first group of solar and energy efficiency trainees happening this winter. So, this is going to be a pilot. It's going to be about 20 people. And then this is in a partnership with the Eastside Employment Exchange over in St. Paul. So that's really exciting. Also, to everyone, I was in Rolling Stone magazine. So I wasn't on the cover. There's that old song, you're on the cover of the Rolling Stone, you made it. I was never on the cover, but I was in an article in Rolling Stone magazine. You can look it up. It's Standing Rocks Go Solar. You just Google it, I suppose. You could see it, find it. But I was in this magazine, and what it was I was asked to go out and do a training out at United Tribes Technical College in North Dakota. And in that training, I didn't realize, everyone, how popular Solar Bear got. I didn't realize how this has spread across the country. And we had 50 spots that opened up to do training with solar training, and we put it out to different tribes. So there must have been like maybe like 10 tribes, maybe 12 tribes represented at this training. Well, these spots went in less than 24 hours. Literally, they just like snapped up like that. And I was told this, and as I was driving out there to Dakota, I was like really nervous because they weren't expecting the excitement in tribal country to come do this training with me. And understand, everyone, people were paying out of their own pocket to come to this training in Standing Rock, or at the United Tribes Technical College. So, by the way, everyone, United Tribes Technical College is in Bismarck, North Dakota. Standing Rock is like 40 minutes away from this tribe, or from the Bismarck there. So geographically, it's right there. Anyways, a lot of people came to this training, and there I was in front of 50 people, all representing different tribes, and they were just excited to go through this solar training with me. And I remember one of them got up and was just talking about the hope that Solar Bear brought to tribal nations, to Indian country, and the success that I was having, and how they wanted to create their own solar bears. They wanted to create their own solar companies. And it just I didn't realize, everyone, the inspiration that Solar Bear was given to other people, to other entrepreneurs, and indigenouspreneurs is what we call them. And so that was pretty humbling, and it was very it was just a real honor to be a part of that, because the same things that are plaguing my community in Red Lake are plaguing the other Native communities. And I think that all of us that do work in our tribal communities are all kind of looking for that one thing that maybe we can turn things around, and maybe do something different. And so a lot of us are, I think, not a lot of us, but some of us are putting our hopes on renewable energy, and that this can heal the social ills that are plaguing our community. I've always said healing is in the environment, and we got to be at one with this planet. I think that the pandemic has really been able to show us and open our eyes to exactly that. We are not in charge. The microbes and Mother Earth is in charge, and we really need to pay attention and listen. And so, incidentally, I have been called more now from tribes asking me also to advise and consult on their energy plans now for their community. That wasn't happening before the pandemic. And I think what the pandemic has shown tribal nations is that they've lost a lot of revenue from their casinos. Their casinos aren't bringing in the type of money that they brought in before the pandemic, before COVID-19, and so I think they realized with me that hey, the sun shines every day. This is going to generate opportunities and revenue for the community. So this has really been a change of direction, I think, and I think it's for the good. I always tell tribal nations when I speak to them, gaming's $100 billion industry. Energy is $1 trillion industry. We are in the wrong industry, folks. We are in the wrong industry. And I also believe that there's a better karma, or there's a better sort of energy that comes along with that capital that we could generate industry, that we could use by just generating and distributing our own energy in our own communities, and putting our people to work in those jobs too, because along with that power source, as we create these tribal utilities, you're going to be able to have entrepreneurial opportunities that are going to sprout off of it. Whether it's someone have a cleaning truck to go clean the panels, or whether it's having a technician doing the operations and maintenance. Otherwise, it's people, taking the phone, doing the billing. There's a lot of job opportunities here. So I just think that's a better way for communities to I guess generate capital. And in no way, everyone, am I saying anything bad about gaming. Gaming has given me 3 college degrees. It's helping me get my 4th college degree. I'm very, very, I'm very, very, what do you say? Thankful for what gaming has done for my community and for my people. But I don't think it's the way I don't think it's the way that we should go. I think that it was supposed to just give us a nudge, and we were supposed to figure out from here. And I think renewable energy is that next step. So this is why I'm so big on it. This is why Native Sun is doing the work that we're doing. This is the work why me and Lisa are doing the work that we're doing right now. This is the reason why Solar Bear is doing the work that we're doing right now. And you know, I'm just really excited for the future and excited for where we can take this. And we've got a lot of good people. Oh, by the way, I'd be remiss to say it's not all me, everyone. Everybody always thinks it's me. I was at Good Morning America last week. They, you know, they make you sound like it's just you, and it's not just me. There's a lot of good people that are working with me, like Lisa Daniels, and of course we have other people too. But I think that they see the big, they all see the big picture too, and so I just want to let everybody know that it's just not me, but obviously this has been a really wonderful and great experience to be a part of renewable energy, and I want to keep on pushing it, and I want to save the planet, everyone. That's why I'm doing this. So
So,
be good, everyone.
Bob, let's open it up to questions and answers. I have been trying to share my screen to show the pictures while you're talking, but I don't seem to be able to, something's not working, so I just let it go. But let's open it up to questions. I also wanted to, if we don't have too many questions, I want to just make the connection to the American Jobs Plan and the American Family Plan, if we have time. But I just wanted to see if there's any questions out there from the audience. And we only have a few more minutes.
Yeah, and I apologize, everyone. I get a little too long-winded.
No, you don't.
All you said was very valuable, very valuable. And while people are preparing their questions, Lisa, do tell us about the American Jobs.
Okay, so here's the way we see it, is that the American Jobs Plan is going to be all about energy infrastructure and solar panels and wind turbines and transmission lines and EV charging stations and things like that. And all those things are green jobs and really wonderful. And we see them as hugely valuable. And the workforce development skills and the workforce development training and certifications are really important to get a lot of people trained to meet the renewable energy goals and to meet the climate change goals, and that are being proposed right now in Congress. And specifically, this legislation aims to set aside about $100 billion over 10 years for workforce development training programs. This is a lot of money. There's a lot of ideas about how these jobs need to happen. There's a civilian climate corps. There's retrofitting older buildings so that to make them more energy efficient. There's a transition. There's a transition to electric vehicles and the electric vehicle charging stations, and a lot more. And it will take a lot of people to do all of this, and to bring us into this next economy of clean energy. And we'll have to nurture a workforce and invest in it and develop it. And we think this is very important. And the prospect of a big climate change boom of jobs is something that, I or Bob, who has worked in, that we've worked in, climate change industries or renewable energy industries for many, many years. And Bob has been part of a BIPOC community for all his whole life. So we see that there is a ton of opportunity wrapped up in this Americans Jobs Plan, and with the workforce development pieces and everything. And we have to make sure that everyone is brought along in this clean energy workforce, whether it's communities that have been involved with fossil fuel extraction, or communities of color that have been on the front line of receiving all the pollution or receiving the extreme weather disasters that we see over and over. Or whether it's, or whether you're a woman or a community, people of color, or of a low income background, or perhaps your career has brought you up through the unions. In any case, all of these different sectors and all of these different populations and all of these different interests have to be brought along and have to be included in order to have the right number of people to bring us to this new economy. And this is a big deal. We have to get this right. We have to keep moving towards this clean energy economy. And we have to know that the opportunity and this workforce development has not always been spread equally. And maybe it's time to do it more equally this time.
Speaking of time, I'm afraid we're out of it. So I'm sorry that we don't have time for the questions, but we thank you very, very much, both Lisa and Bob. And I